In the far north territory of the planet, a transport settles down by a flat area close to a large ice cave. Variax drop down in front of the cave, facing away towards the open, snow-covered field. The team begins to pull supplies from the transport and to carry them into the cave. Once the supplies are unloaded, the transport lifts off and heads south. The wind is howling and the snow is blowing across the barren landscape, with the chill factor causing pain to the uncovered skin. Trigger talked to Mica. Lightning, you'll need to strap down against the wind. I'm ahead of you. I'm grabbing the straps and anchor pins now. Come on, guys. Let's get our supplies inside the cave so we can warm up. The team picked up the pace as Mica can be seen hooking straps to Variax and pounding pins into the frozen ground to hook the straps too. The team organized the equipment while Trigger set up a cleared area and places down a unit. Turning a handle, the unit begins to glow and give off heat. Mica, how's your fuel status? I topped off the fuel leaving the protected zone. Should have no problem. Good. Okay, everyone, over here. We have a plan to go over. Trigger laid out a map on the ground as the team gathers. We didn't have time to go over the briefing before leaving. We are located here. The enemy forces are coming from here and here. Our main force will be located here. Our job is to cover the flank and bend the force south. That will allow our forces to concentrate fire and attack them. The main battle should be fought here, south of our position. We can expect probing attacks. We need to push them back. If they drive us back, their forces can expand and attack our guys from both here and here. Sweep in from the flank. It's what we do. We have to do it again. Mica, you need to position over here and take out anything large that they have. Also, you need to take out their fighters if they come this far north. Any questions? Joker popped up. And if we succeed, do we get something special? Trigger responded. Yeah, we all get to survive, and the field commander will give you a kiss on the cheek. We expect the fight to arrive late tomorrow, so let's check weapons, plan some surprises for them. We will start planting when the wind calms down. The team spread out as some were checking their weapons, and Sparks checked out his communications. As the time wore on, the winds outside seemed to calm down some, and the shadows grew long. Mica walked over to Trigger. I think it might be good to get some readings on the bad guys. With the wind slowing down, I will be back shortly. Mica headed to the ship and climbed into the cockpit. Turning on power, the console began to light up. As Mica's hands blazed across the panels, the graphical displays began to paint the red enemy positions and the blue for their forces to the south. Mica talked over the team network. Sure glad the enemy can't see this good. Need to flash this to command. Mica reached over and pressed a button as a readout on the screen showed data received. Trigger, check your situation display for latest force review. We'll be shutting down shortly. I will leave the scanning up to make sure nothing freezes over. Got it. Get back inside before you freeze. With the wind slowing down, the team spread out across the snow-covered plains as they began to lay down explosives with remote triggers and pressure pads. Variax is to the east, seeding a minefield against personnel. Trigger called out, Okay, team, keep moving so you don't freeze. Make sure you transmit coordinates and keep frequencies to Mica's ship so she can coordinate during the fight. Receiving data. Observe your displays to make sure data is accurate. After the work was wrapping up, Trigger called out to the team. Time to wrap up and get back to the cave. We need to warm up before preparing the fight. As the evening happened, the team was checking their weapons and making sure that they had extra ammo pulled out and ready to haul to their stations. Mike was going over her ship checking for any problems when Trigger approached. I need you to be double aware when this kicks off. No messing around. Kill and move on. You sound like you're worried about me. I worry about all the team, but you're special. Someday this will be over, and I want to make sure you're there when we are the last ones on the beach." Mica looked at Trigger in the eyes, reached up, kissed him. "I want you to be there as well." Trigger looked at her. "I promise to be there if you do the same." "I promise." Trigger headed back towards the inner cave, where the team was huddled around the warmer. Aces called out, "Better get over here. It's going to be a long, cold fight." "Mica will have some heat in the cockpit," Joker announced. "Maybe Trigger just needs to make sure her equipment is cooled down." Fish looked up from digging through his pack. "I could use some extra explosives. Anyone have any?" Tripper responded, "Here is an extra pack. Just make sure you don't come back with any." Sparks turned to Tripper. "All radios are working. I checked the links with Variax. Crypto settings are synced for the fight." Trigger looked up at the team. "As soon as we see movement, we need to take our positions. Stay warm till then. Make sure you have your hot water bottles with you. It's going to be a long, cold fight. Now rest as much as you can." Mica returned to the warmth of the heater just as the team split up and got down to sleeping. As the first of the two suns began to rise, the alarm went off on the team's monitors. Trigger quickly rose. "Okay, everybody. Bad guys are starting to move. Let's get going." Quickly the team grabbed their blankets and loaded up their guns and ammo. Mica rose and grabbed her blanket as she raced to her ship. As the team headed out, Variax was lifting off the ground. The team spread out to their designated locations. Variax had already headed to the southeast. Not within sight, but viewable on the team's wrist monitors. The large red showed the enemy moving forward and the blue army to the southeast, preparing the battleground. Trigger radioed Mica. "Lightning, check our defense positions. Team lead. All position verified. I have 2 incoming fighters taking out leads." Team watched as Variax streaked forward. To their right, in the distance, they could see the 2 blips on their monitors as the opening shots of the battle were about to happen. On their monitors, they could see the attack air units heading out to battle the enemy's attack air units. "Okay, Lightning is about to engage. Focused beams are directed to the 2 attack vehicles." As Mica's hands blazed across the panel, in the distance, the 2 air attack units suddenly exploded in the air. As the wreckage of the 2 units fall to the ground, a large grouping of missiles appeared on the screen, along with a number of ground-to-ground artillery launches taking place. "Team leader, hunker down. They just launched the artillery barrage. I can't handle everything. Thanks for the heads up. Stay safe." Mica began to fire on the ground-to-air missiles, taking out the grouping as she began to head to the northern edge of the attack forces. Reaching out, she banked to the right. Variax targeted the major ground units. As the beams reached out, the ground units began to erupt and explode. Team was dug in as the ground-to-ground artillery lands to the far front of their positions. After the first major barrage, there is a quiet few moments. While continuing to look forward, Trigger asked Sparks, "You okay, Sparks? It actually bounced me off the ground a couple of times." "Still fine. Radio still operating. Looks like she is bending them south. She has cleared the northern edge." "Okay, team. Looks like they are moving in. Expect them to try and probe north." As they watched their screens, the heavy ground armor was moving in the area to the team's south. As they watched, a few units break off and start to probe north. As they reached the team's planted explosives, suddenly one of the units exploded, being hurtled into the air in flames and dust. The other units in the probe stop. 3 of the units are in range as Aces launches a missile. It's quickly followed by missiles from other positions. One of the units starts firing on Aces and is quickly targeted by Trigger in their planned trap. The enemy ground forces following the probing units begin to open fire on the team's positions. According to the plan, Fish slowly moves south, as does Tipper. Within minutes, the enemy unit is caught in an angle trap with fire coming from 2 different directions. The enemy ground fighters try to fight back as the area becomes a kill zone, and they are dropping fast. Suddenly, a small group tries to surge forward and get out of the death trap. Moving forward, Trigger begins to tap on his wrist computer, and the ground erupts with explosives. The remaining enemy force begins to pull back towards their main force to the south. Trigger knew this wasn't over.